Get me that signal. We need more power.
Hi guys, my name is Erica Lindbeck. I'm super excited to be here at ACEN. I am a voice actor. Some of the things you might know me from is I do the voice of Barbie. Most recently, I did the voice for Talia, the newest champion for League of Legends. I play Ellie Ayase in Love Live, and Nori of the Sleeping Knights in Sword Art Online 2. And what I'm here mostly to promote is Your Lie in April, which I play Cowdy Miyazono in. But I've been in Do Da 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 Da, Aldinoh.Zero, a bunch of video games, a lot of other stuff. So, yeah.
Hi, can you tell me how you got your first voice acting job and how you broke into it?
Yeah, so I went to school, I went to UCLA for theater, and about 2 years in, my sophomore year, I had always been, backstory, I'd always been a really big fan of anime and animation and video games, and I decided, oh, well, Crispin Freeman's teaching classes, because I moved from North Carolina to LA to go to school, so that was a huge thing in itself. But my sophomore year, I saw that Crispin Freeman was teaching classes. My favorite anime of all time is Hellsing, and yes, I like the nods. And so I saw he was teaching classes, he plays Alucard. I absolutely loved his performance, so I went, why not? Like, I'm already taking a bunch of theater classes, obviously at school. I'd like to broaden my horizons and take some voiceover classes. So I went and took some classes with him. And then I kind of kept up with it. I started kind of playing around with voices and things. Come my senior year, I took a class at Bang Zoom Entertainment. They do a lot of the anime in LA, amongst a few other studios. And so they started sending me auditions. And I booked, my first ever role was Ibarra Naruse in an anime series called Coppelion. So my first ever role was actually a lead in anything, any voiceover thing ever was a lead in an anime series, which was insane, and it was kind of a fluke. But I feel really grateful that Viz Media gave me that opportunity, and the casting director believed in me, and everyone believed in me, because that was kind of like, I felt like I was thrown into the fire. But it turned out really well, and yeah, that was my first role.
Thanks.
Yes. It's really hard for me to even talk about it without crying, because it really was, because it's such a, it really, like, I really feel like, I've said this so many times, but I really feel like I ripped my heart out, threw it down, and said, here it is, this is what I got. All the scenes that my character Cowdy's crying in, like, I was really crying in, and I can't ever not cry when my character's crying. Or like actually be upset. Like I always try to be as emotionally connected as I can. Like I can't do crocodile tears. And it's one of the reasons that it messed me up so badly, because my work really came home with me every day. It was one of the first things I've ever done that my work really came home with me. Like it was sad. Like I would go home sad. When the trailer came out, I was bawling. I just started bawling because I wasn't at the convention where they premiered the dub trailer. But I just watched it and I started bawling just because all those feelings came back. And also the positive feedback on top of it was so immense and insane. And I was just so happy that people loved it, because when you go into a project, you don't think, okay, well, I really hope people are going to like this. I hope, you know what I mean? You can't really, you just have to go, I have to serve the piece. I have to do the best job I can. If they don't like it, that's okay. That's because I did all that I can do. And I admit it, but the positive feedback was just the cherry on the cake.
So what are you working on now?
Well, that's okay. I can't say what I'm working on now. What am I can't really talk about any of it.
Nothing?
Unfortunately, no. I don't really know. Oh, I'm in Skip Beat. It got kickstarted. I play Kanae in Skip Beat, which we're going to be starting to record in June, I think. But everything else I can't talk about. But it's okay. In the next few months, I think a few things are going to be announced. It's big stuff. It's going to be really exciting. I'm stoked. It's a lot of video game stuff. I can't say that. A lot of really cool, possibly Japanese video game stuff. Yeah, I'm very excited. And then some things are like 2 years down the road. I'll be like, hey, I was in this thing. Yeah. Let me just be even more vague about this.
Learning from Crispin Freeman,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of good advice were you able to take from him?
Well, Crispin is a great teacher because he doesn't coddle you. I know he teaches classes online, I think, as well. Like you can do private Skype sessions with him. He's very training based. I think he has his master's from Columbia in I think he has his MFA. Like he's legit. He's the real deal. And I love that he didn't coddle me, because that will never serve you well. people just telling you, oh yeah, you're so good, here's a gold star, you know, for trying. And so when I first started, I remember I was so focused on doing the voice that I wasn't actually focused on the performance. And I think a lot of people who are starting out in VO do that. They just go, oh, I have to do this voice, and I'm just going to do this the whole time because this is what it sounds like, because this is anime. You know? That's not, you know, well actually Megan Holland's Head is a great example of somebody who does sort of that kind of character but is an incredible actress on top of it. I mean, anime is very stylized, but you do first and foremost focus on their performance. And so, what was the question?
Working with Crispin Freeman.
Yes, working with Crispin was incredible. I consider him a mentor. I 100% recommend him. We did a lot of, he offers a bunch of different classes. Like, there's one class where you focus on your archetypes. What archetypes do you play well? What's like, he very much focuses on the psychology of the character. Like, what psychologies do you understand? I think that's really important too, to differentiate from voice, because I might understand the psychology of a young heroine, right? Luckily for me, I have a voice that very much fits that archetype, but I think that's an interesting thing to explore. Like, what do I understand? Because then you can act it. It doesn't really matter what your voice sounds like. You can get into that mentality, you can do it. And then we also did some Commedia dell'arte stuff in his class, I remember. He does a really wide range of things, and a lot of improv. I think improv training is really important, and he focuses on that. I'm just like hawking his classes, but I think they're so good. I remember when my agent called me and said, hey, they want you to go in for Barbie, because I originally went in for Skipper and Teresa, and I thought I killed my Skipper. I was like, I did such a good job with Skipper. And then I left, but I mean, the thing with acting is you can nail something, and know you nailed it, and still not book it. And you have to just be like, no hard feelings, it's fine. Because there's so many people auditioning, there's so many talented people out there, chances of you booking things are super slim. So you go in, you do the audition, you forget about it. But when I got the call that they wanted me to go in for Barbie just to audition, I told my agent, I said, Nick, I sound nothing like Barbie. Why would I audition for Barbie? He was like, oh no man, like we just want you to go in for it, just see. And so I went in and I read, I got this big paragraph, and they just said, Carol from Carol Casting said, I just want you to go in and read it, like don't rehearse it, just go in and read it. And I think it was just like, hi, my name is Barbie, and I live in Wisconsin, but we also have a house in Malibu. I love to ski, just stuff like that, right? I love skiing. I have 3 sisters. I love, we love to hang out and like pop popcorn, just silly things like that. And I read it, and she looked at me and nodded, and she was like, I'll see you soon. And I was like, what? So I went, okay. I remember it was raining outside. My hair was in a messy bun. Like I had no makeup on. There were all these women in the room, like in the waiting room, that had been doing this way longer than I had. And I was like, all right, nice, cool, bye. And so I left. And like a few months later, I thought it was just a one project thing. I thought it was just going to be for one movie or something. And then it turned out to be an overhaul. And I ended up, I do her voice for most projects. Not all of them. There's never only going to be one voice for Barbie. That will never happen. And I will not be the voice for Barbie forever, but I feel really, really lucky that you get to do it for any amount of time. Oh yeah, there's a huge difference. Yeah. For anime, everybody records by themselves because you're matching lip flap. So I don't know if you guys know how anime works, but you go in and you get a script. By the way, with VO, you basically never get the script in advance. Maybe for a Barbie movie, they'll send me the script in advance because it's like 90 pages. But they're constantly making changes. So you go in, you get a script, everything's timed out. So actually, having musical background is really helpful with anime because you look at the Japanese, you hear beep, 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 and on the 4th beep, the imaginary 4th beep, you say the line, try and make it fit with the intention of the Japanese person. So it's actually really difficult. And then sometimes it won't fit and you need to stretch it, sometimes it won't fit and they need to rewrite it. Sometimes you're too fast. I'm a really fast talker, so most of the time it's a little fast for me. And they're like, hey, you need to stretch it a little bit. But with Barbie, they're animating to me. So they're animating to my performance. So it's not ADR. Anime is all ADR. With a lot of shows, for smaller parts, like even American cartoons, they'll do ADR with it. Like I was in an episode of Scooby-Doo, Be Cool Scooby-Doo. I'm like, Be Cool Scooby-Doo, I can speak, I promise. But I played Beth, and I went in, that was ADR. So I went in, it was already mostly animated. There's usually a little bit of wiggle room when you go back in for ADR. Less so with anime, but they can move the mouth a little bit, to your performance. But yeah, when I go in for a Barbie movie, actually the first Barbie movie I ever did, Barbie Spy Squad, I was in the room with 2 other girls doing it's called prelay, when you go in and you talk with other people in the room, and you actually get to play off them, which is the best thing ever. With anime, it's interesting though, because you kind of do have a performance to play off of. Sometimes it's Japanese, sometimes it's English if the person before you has already gone in and done the scene. So yeah, it's very, very different. It's all fun though. You know, I've worked with a lot of really cool directors. Colette Sunderman I'm very close with, and she directed a lot of my Barbie stuff. She's directed me on a few other things. I think she directed me on Scooby-Doo and a few other projects that are yet to be announced, which I'm very excited. Alex Von David, who directed Kill la Kill, and Do-Da-Da-Da, he's fabulous. I just turned this into directors that I really love to work with. I like just about every director I work with. I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to work with everybody, obviously.
So what's one of your favorite experiences so far recording?
So far?
Yeah.
Going in for Scooby-Doo was super exciting for me. It was one of the first Western animated cartoons for a network that I've ever done. So that was just a huge milestone for me. Working on League of Legends was so fun. Riot Games is incredible. It was a really long process. I think we had four or five sessions for Talia, and she changed from the first session to the last. And they don't cut corners. They care a lot about their players, and I think that's so cool. Yeah, and every person that was working on her was so passionate about her. And that was just so exciting. It's really nice to feel like you're collaborating with people that care, because that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. You know, with some anime even, you go in and it's just sort of, it's a job, you know, for some things. They won't, you know, I've been in for games where they don't even give me any context and I just have to guess. And that's really sad, because, you know, I always want context. As an actor, I always want context. And I want to be able to make the best, most informed decision, and sometimes that doesn't happen. But you do those jobs so that you can go in and do those amazing jobs where you're, you know, that's one of the things that I love about Alex Von David, and I've said this about him, is that he cares so much about the finished product. We will go as many times as needed to get the right result, and he will always go for the more natural read, which I love. And that's something that I can also say about Patrick Seitz for Your Lie in April. That was his baby, and we spent such a long time on it, making it perfect, exactly what we want. I think most voice actors will tell you that voice acting and acting are the exact same thing, and to get the training, just go and take acting classes, take voice acting classes. Also, I think something that's important to remember is that acting is just sort of playing with human experience. So go out and live your life and have experiences. You know what I mean? Go travel the world, get your heart broken, laugh with people, cry. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. When when I'm doing Your Lie in April, and Cowdy, obviously I haven't, not what happens to her has not happened to me, obviously, but I can relate to everything she's felt. She's felt loss. She's felt like she's gonna go away and not be remembered. I mean, those things are horrible. She's losing her family. I used to cry every day when I was in college because I felt like I didn't fit in, and not every day, the entirety of 4 years, but at the beginning of my freshman year, that would be really sad. The beginning of my freshman year, I felt so alone. I came out here to UCLA not knowing anybody, and I would call my mom and I would cry, and I felt hopeless. And everyone can relate to feeling hopeless, right? Everyone can relate to feeling left out. There's a scene in Love Live where Ellie is bawling. She's screaming to Nozomi about, she's trying to do what's best for the school, but she also wants to be a school idol. And obviously I've never cried to somebody about wanting to be a school idol, but I understand what it feels like to be left out. Everybody knows what it feels like. So I think having human experiences is really important, and that's something that was really hammered into me in college, is go out and be a person, learn other things, study abroad, So I think that's really important as well. That was a little bit of a tangent. But yeah, get, acting training, you get all the training so that you can drop it and just go into the booth and be a human being. That's it. Do you guys know Ultra Despair Girls, Danganronpa? Okay. I play Kotoko in that, or Kotoko, there are different pronunciations. But she has this freak attack because someone tells her that they're gonna be gentle with her, because her backstory is that she was prostituted out by her mother when she was younger. Crazy, right? I was like, what on earth? But she has this crazy, freak attack that lasts 10 minutes about her freaking out and screaming. I'm like, please don't be gentle with me. I can't. Somebody actually compiled it, and it's on YouTube. It has I think almost 60,000 views. It's just my Kotoko freak out scenes. But those were kind of awkward. But again, I still related to it. It's a weird situation, but I could still relate to it. you know, relate to feeling abandoned, relate to feeling, you know, like nobody, you know, someone says something to you that's like, that kind of triggers you to a memory or whatever, so yeah. Yeah, that was kind of awkward. Also, she talks about people choking on their own poop, which is weird. I could barely get through those. I think all of those were like the one take that I actually didn't laugh on because I thought it was so funny. But yeah. Yes.
I think that video just got a couple more hits, so. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wait, I'm glad I ended on
Give me
that.
that 6. We need more time.